Welcome to this evening's full council meeting, and a particular welcome to our members of the audience for coming along, and anyone who's watching the recording of this meeting afterwards. I just want to make a couple of quick announcements before we commence the proceedings. The first one is that yesterday was, of course, Memorial Day. And I wanted to congratulate the Mayor and Borough Council for putting on such a moving, warm commemoration ceremony for that. I know that there are councillors in this chamber who are personally affected very much by the worst genocide in history, the attempted obliteration of the entire Jewish population, and the systematic murder of millions more. So, just to reflect on that for a moment. I also wanted to ask members to pause for a few moments to remember a couple of residents who passed away in recent days. The first was that we were all saddened to hear the death of Carol Denby, and her loss will be felt by all who knew her. Carol gave over 50 years of service to local scouting with the 7th Bournemouth District and County, and she helped shape the lives of generations of young people, instilling confidence, kindness, and service to others. Carol, with her husband Len, as we all know here, were a highly respected volunteer for the local Royal British Legion and the Poppy Appeal. Not only in fundraising, but in honouring the memory of service men and women at national and local level, including supporting the Town Council's commemorations. We thank Carol for her service, her dedication and compassion. Her legacy lives on in the lives that she touched and the values that she championed. I also wanted to mention the very sudden and tragic death of a Bournemouth resident, Jose Marks, who many of you know passed away following an incident in Valley Lane in Bournemouth just a week and a half ago. Joe was a very well-admired member of the local community. He worked in a care home in Barnet and lived in Bournemouth for 25 years. I went to visit the family at the weekend, and they're desperately upset and torn, and they just wanted me to say that the solidarity of the town has been tremendously important for them. So if we could just please have a minute's silence for Carol and Jose. Thank you, members. And just a couple of very quick final announcements. We have the annual Parish Council on the 18th of March. That is, of course, not a town council meeting as such, but it's a meeting for all members for the parish vestry in Bournemouth to come along to promote their causes and to have a say in the running of the town and give their opinions and so on. That will be held here at the Hall at 7:30. 7:30 on the 18th of March, so please come along. And the other thing was, two more things actually. On this Sunday at 2 p.m. at Maxwell Park, we have a community and faith tree planting event. and everyone is welcome to come along. Rabbi Chaim will talk to you about that at the end. Hastily organised it, but we will be planting trees, so please come along. And just finally, this Friday at 9 a.m. outside the County Council is the Education Inclusion and Send panel, where they will be deciding, County Council will be deciding on the potential fate of St Nicholas School, which obviously we, as a County Council, supporting keeping the school open. So there will be a protest outside the council building of parents, families, staff and supporters, so everyone's welcome on to that. Okay, item number 2, apologies. Do you receive any apologies for non-attendance? Thank you. I know Peter is on maternity leave, but there's no apologies to see. Item number 3, declarations of interest. We are going to receive any declarations of interest of disclosable pecuniary interests and other interests from members with respect to items on the agenda. Councillor Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to declare an other interest in respect of the 2026-2027 budget and precept item as leader of Harlesmead Borough Council, as the budget allows for a number of related party transactions between the two authorities, and I would like to declare a separate other registrable interest for the community infrastructure levy item sub-point 3 in relation to the application for a SIL grant by the High Centre, as the Borough Council is providing capital support of circa £700,000 towards the overall building and development project, and we are the owners of the site. Having taken advice, this is a non-pecuniary interest, and it does not prevent me from participating in the debate and voting accordingly, as this is a separate funding bid, and neither the funding already pledged by the Borough Council nor the potential funding from the Town Council are interdependent upon one another.
Thank you, Councillor Newman. That's noted. Do we have any other declarations of interest?
Yes,
Councillor Alexander?
yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to disclose a non-pecuniary interest in relation to item 11, the SIL grant, because I've been called upon on a number of occasions to lead the reading of the Torah in the Jewish Life Centre. So yeah, it's an honorary thing, but I feel like it's just disclose it anyway. But it shouldn't prevent me from taking part in the item I'm voting on.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Alexander. Any other declaration? Councillor Rubin?
Also like to be interested on the High Centre votes. My family have had a financial connection with the High Centre in the past.
Thank you very much, that's noted, and thank you for that. Okay, didn't receive any written grants, requests for dispensation?
No written representation was received.
Thank you. Item number 4, the minutes to approve and sign. Oh, we need to grant any requests for dispensation as appropriate and note any dispensations previously granted. So we need to vote as to whether Councillor Newmark can remain in the room for. To note his request. Okay, we noted his request. Note not vote.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just to be clear, I'm not making a request, I'm just declaring an interest.
Okay, sorry. Acknowledged, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So item number 4, minutes of the last meeting, to approve the minutes of the last meeting held on the 12th of November as a true record. Agreed? Thank you. And item number 5, the signed minutes, to note the signed minutes of the committees as follows. Entertainments Committee on the 4th of November, Environment Planning Committee the 28th of October, 11th of November 2025 to the 2nd of December 2025. The General Management Committee 23rd of October 2025 and the International Affairs Subcommittee of the 3rd of September 2025. Noted. Okay, members, item number 6, the schedule of meetings. No other requests were received following the resolution of Council on the 12th of November, and the schedule of meetings is therefore adopted. Item 7, action from other committees, subcommittees, forums and working groups. 7.1, the in-house audit panel. To note the in-house audit committee report that was attached in your papers, and we need to approve the in-house audit committee recommendation for the transfer of funds from general to seal in the report minute 6.1. Is that all agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Entertainments Committee to approve the recommendation for appointment of the Civic Festival Circus provider, John Lawson's Family Circus, for £13,000 following the committee's consideration of 3 quotes. Do we agree with that, members?
Agreed.
That's unanimous as well, agreed, thank you. And B, 17, yeah, to approve the recommendation for the appointment of stewarding contract provider for the year 2026-2027, that's Principal Security Services, following the committee's consideration of 3 quotes. Everyone agree?
Agreed.
Yeah, it's unanimous as well, thank you. And point number 8, accounts for payment, to confirm the payment of accounts as approved as per your papers. Totaling £182,072 and 41 pence.
Agreed.
Great, thank you. The income report, number 9, income report, to note the income received for the period 1st of April 2025 to 22nd of June 2026, January 2026, thank you, Clark, totaling £1,148,707.92. Noted? Agreed? Noted? Good. Okay, so we're on to a very important item on the budget, that is point 10, 2026-27 budget and precept. We need to consider and resolve this in 2 parts. 10.1, the adoption of the budget for 2026-27 to be considered in conjunction with point 2 below. I am going to open a debate on. First, okay. So I'm going to open a debate on 10.1, and then at the end of the debate we'll go for a vote as to whether we accept the budget as it stands, or potentially with any amendments. So I'm going to open the floor to ask if any members want to speak in favour of this budget.
Yes,
Sabala.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to support this budget. This budget has been through every committee, so everyone has had their chance now to add their concerns and comments to the Entertainment Committee, the Planning Committee, the GMC committee and also the outside bodies that we are looking for, outside bodies that the like the town group that we have and anything like that. So everyone's had a chance to raise concerns and add their interest into how this budget should grow and materialise, and just gives you some information. So we've actually going to increase our community grants by 25%, inclusivity grants by 89%, school swimming will be up by 5%, events and festivals will be up by 30% estimate, remembrance service, which we've taken on, will be up by 19%. The allotments utilities will be up by about 200%. Neighbourhood planning will be up by 25%. But we have to remember that this is only a 24p a week increase, which is the equivalent of £12.40 for a year. We are also anticipating for members to realise that this budget also includes planning for the future for responsibilities that will be coming down through local government reform. And we did discuss that at the last full council where we would agree part of that increase. That does mean we will be looking at taking on additional services. There are things that are floating around at the moment which we'll learn about through the GMC meeting. So it gives you an indication of what we're going to have to be taking on. We are going to be a town council in a new world of local government reform, and we will have to really punch above our weight when we take on additional services. So I think this is a budget looking to the future. It strengthens Elstree and Warren Wood, and it strengthens members of this council to go forward with confidence. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Do I have any other speakers on the budget item? I'm going to take somebody for a political balance. I'm going to try and take an alternate speeches. So, Councillor Alexander.
Yes, I would echo Councillor Butler's words. It's an excellent budget. There's lots of exciting things in there, and increasing our services to the public, which is all to be commended. As is the process which is followed, I'm grateful to have been part of all that. It's been taken through GMC, so I think everyone here feels has been adequately consulted, and thank you for that. So I'm very happy to support the budget this evening. One comment that I would just like to make is that because we've got such an ambitious programme of events, there is also a corresponding item for sponsorship against that. So I think we just need to be mindful and monitor that, to make sure that we don't end up having a shortfall if we don't manage to collect enough in through sponsorship or through whatever else. I think it's fine if we get all the sponsorship and we can dip all the events, but I think that's an understanding of one is contingent on the other, but we need to monitor that as well as we go along to make sure that we don't overspend more than what we're bringing in for the events. That's, as I say, a fantastic budget, and commend everyone for their efforts.
If it's directly responding, Councillor Butler, and then Councillor Newman.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Councillor Alexander. I appreciate that. I think you're absolutely right to raise that concern about the sponsorship. I think, as you say, through GMC, I think we need to keep a real close eye on that, and members that are sitting on GMC. And it just shows that when we work across the board, we can actually achieve something that will better the community. I will take that on board fully, and I think if we can add that to the next GMC meeting minutes with the permission of the clerk and council, obviously it's her meeting to put that agenda together. So if you're okay to do that for us, I'd be grateful so that we can monitor that through the process of this budget. Thank you.
Just before I bring Councillor Newmark in, just coming back on your point, I think also members, you have to remember that we as members can also try to help bring in sponsorship money for some of these events as well. There are two very good examples, successful examples of this so far. Councillor Kumar and Councillor Rani from Hartsmere, the sponsorship that they've 2 years in a row now secured for the Hindu festival that we have, our Interwala Festival. And I know Councillor Parnell has also been trying to get some funding from Jenny Road shops and so on. So,
I've got a couple in the pipeline. Seriously, I will get them.
Good. So if we can also try to use our connections for sponsoring certain events, that would be great. Councillor Newmark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also wanted to commend this budget to the council. I think it is a tremendous budget for local people. It represents a growth in this council's investment in the delivery of frontline services that our residents will benefit from directly. It represents an investment in the core purpose for which this council is famous in terms of provision of entertainment and leisure for local people. It also represents, as this administration's third budget, a significant shift in the fiscal direction of the council, away from one in which, although a balanced budget was presented on paper, the reality is it was balanced by dipping into reserves every year. Not only have we demonstrated the sort of growth that's enabled us to move out of that situation, we are now in an era in which we can actually look to replenish those reserves in a steady, sustainable manner. And I think it's really important to highlight that as much as this budget does reflect an increased net budget requirement over 1.2 million, at the same time, it reflects a budget that has given us the space and the ability to rebuild the long-term reserves of the authority, which is equally important. I think, Mr. Mayor, this is a budget that is both aspirational and sustainable. It is resident focused, but also brings the benefits of ensuring that the wonderful, small but perfectly formed staff and officer contingent of this authority will be able to expand appropriately in order to relieve the pressure and deliver the sort of services that we're asking from them. And I want to repeat the remarks of others and particularly commend the clerk for the superb and professional manner in which he has steered this process forward over the past few months, enabling us to table a budget that has broad support of all the political groups represented here today, and that's not always an easy achievement, so it's certainly no mean feat.
Thank you very much, Councillor Newmark. I'm sure you will echo the words that you just said, in particular the ones at the end there. I also thank you, Clark, for your hard work on this. Do we have any further comments? Councillor Parnell wants to say something?
I want to say that we, well, as I'm on the audit committee with Councillor Newmark and Councillor Alexander, we went through it with a fine tooth comb, and I think our clerk, Gillian, has done a fantastic job. I need to say this now, and I approve it because we've got Councillor Newmark is in the extreme. I mean, you are, and I appreciate that. I'm not criticising you, but we did go through every line, and so did you, Councillor Alexander, didn't you? Right. So I approve it wholeheartedly. I think maybe when we do it again next year, or I think that the rest of the councillors need to look at it beforehand, before this evening, also to have an opinion on it. Because this is, I don't know, when were the papers out, if you don't mind asking?
Councillor Parnell, just to say, I'm sure members do have an opinion on it, so that's perhaps a little bit of prejudgment.
Yes,
But
before this evening, they need to.
I think absolutely
This is my opinion, I'm entitled to. Right. So with that, I'm thanking you, Gillian, on behalf of all the councillors, because you've done a splendid job, and it's gone through with a fine tooth comb. Honestly, this did go, it really did, didn't it?
Yep.
So I absolutely approve it, and thank you so much from all of us.
Thank you, Councillor Parnell. Yeah. So there was a draft budget that came through at the last full council meeting. It was item 65 at the last full council, and we did kind of go through that draft as a council body, and we made decisions there, including, as Councillor Butler mentioned earlier, putting ourselves in a steady position for a government reorganisation that's going to fundamentally restructure local government and will have as yet unknown implications for the town council, so we think we put ourselves in a very safe position with that as well. Do we have any more speakers before we go to the vote on this? No, in that case, I'll ask all of those in favour of this year's or forthcoming year's budget. I think that's unanimous, yeah. Thank you very much, members. So the point 10.2, I just need to draw your attention, this is on setting the town council precept demand for 26-27. There is a very, very minor difference to your tabled paper. There was a second reissuing of the agenda, but in terms of the public papers that were issued the first time, there's an alteration on the tax base, which is the difference, the pricing sum of 1 pence, and it now becomes 13499.8 pounds. Households, apologies, households. So that's 13,499.8 households. Bandy equivalents. 0.8 households. Okay. So there's just one key difference just to note that we need to legally note it in order to approve the precept demand. So can I hear any speeches in favour of the precept for this year? Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, just to point out that, again, I've already said this, but I'll say it again just to be absolutely clear. So this is average of 24p a week, and we're still nearly £50 below the Hertfordshire average of town parishes. As we take more on for higher tier authorities, we're planning ahead, and we are not going to be playing catch up. And as you look at the budget, that is 65% of our budget is spent directly on community facility facing services and infrastructure. So we have to be absolutely clear what we're voting for. So I fully support this increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Would anyone else like to speak to it? No? In that case, we're going to the vote on that. All of those in favour of setting the Town Council precept demand for 2026-2027 as tabled? I think that's unanimous. There's no one against, is there? Or abstain? No.
Listen, I voted
Councillor Whitney.
I voted for the budget. But I'm interested in what is the increase in terms of percentages? What is the percentage increase on the precept over last year?
This year will be about 15% increase.
15%.
Yeah, which is £12.40 for the whole year. For a bandy property, that's 24p a week. So I'm giving you every bit that you want, 24p a week. All the services that we do deliver currently and the services we will continue to deliver. And as I say, we are literally smack bang in the middle on the average benchmark for local parish and town councils. So we're nowhere near the most expensive. And I can give you a run through, I've got the whole breakdown here if you want, on how that is set aside. That 65% is spent on public facing services that this authority delivers. And I think that's really clear. And we've got to be absolutely clear, and we've gone through all this at all the other committee stages as well. This isn't a budget necessarily for the future of next year, it's for the future of the future of the future. It's setting ourselves a real good target to make sure this council is stable, especially with local government reforms we've discussed. We will be taking additional services on, and we need to meet that challenge head on. If we don't do this, we won't be fit enough to do so.
Mr. Mayor, can I? So I get what Councillor Butler is saying, and I voted for the budget, as I said. Many residents might balk at the percentage increase, 15%, which is a lot in terms of percentage. So can I suggest that the town council publicises in very clear and basic English where that 15% increase is going? Because as Councillor Butler himself said, it's only sort of £2 a month, not even £2 a month, but 15% sounds a lot more than £2 a month, and we will get criticism for this 15% increase in the budget. So if we can, maybe even on the website or something, just possibly just outline where the money is going, and because I agree, we need to spend more because we are taking on more responsibilities. and it's imperative that residents know exactly where the land
Completely
is.
in.
I'm going to allow it's direct response. I'm going to allow Councillor Butler direct response and Councillor Newmark. And then I really feel we should probably press on because we've already voted on this, but I do want to have this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll just go through that again. So we're seeing community grants budget is going from £10,000 to 12,500. That's a 25 increase. Inclusive to grants, £6,600 going up to 12,500, which is an 89% increase. So that supports things like Diwali, Hanukkah, Pride, Extra, all those new events. School swimming and travel, so that's gone up from £50,000 to £52,500. That's a 5% increase, keeping kids learning vital skills like swimming. Events and festivals has gone from 110,000 to 143,000 plus. So that's expenditure on the cultural seasonal programs that we're delivering. The Remembrance Service has gone from 2,100 to 2,500. That's a 19% increase. That's a civic pride and tradition. Obviously, we all support the Remembrance Day parades, and obviously with the closure of the Borough Council imminent, we will obviously be taking on, for instance, Holocaust Memorial. So that's another thing that we will have to be taking under our belt. So this is where these increases are coming from, because we do not want to lose services such as that. Allotment utilities from 1,000 to 3,000, that's a 200% increase, but that's improvements into the allotment facilities and for the plot holders. Neighbourhood plans from 4,000 to 5,000, that's a 25% increase, but that funds the local referendum, which we're coming up to, and we all need to get behind that and make sure that we support that referendum. And then that is it really for now. So yes, we will put that down and make it clear. I can't be clearer than that. I think it's a really good budget.
You know, we speak because,
Absolutely.
you know,
That sounds quite ordinary to me. Not that you're all.
You're welcome. No, I'm happy to.
Councillor Newmark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I understand exactly why Councillor Ruber makes the point he makes and seeks to emphasise the percentage quantum of the precept for the council tax increase. But the reality is this administration has moved away from expressing that quantum in percentage terms, because when we are dealing with such a relatively low level of precepts, the reality is it's a nonsense to express it in percentage terms, because the percentage figures look higher and they look scarier than they actually are. In reality, we're talking about, for the average banded council taxpayer, pennies per week and a few pounds over the course of a year. So I do not think the council would be well advised to get into a scenario in which it seeks to justify a percentage figure. I also think that there's perhaps, dare I say it, a little bit of this trust economics going on here, because the member just voted for a budget proposal which set out a very clear quantum of council tax precepts at 1.15 million, representing the exact percentage increase that we are now being asked to agree. If the member wanted to raise a debate about the precept, it should have been done in the context of the income line of the budget that we just approved, not in the context of this item, which is really on the agenda due to the technical requirement to set a precept. So whilst I appreciate what he was trying to achieve, I'm not supportive of a PR initiative based around a percentage. I think that the leader of the town council has set out absolutely what the justification for this is in real terms, what local people are going to get, and how it represents value of money. And I think that is the form of communication that this authority has adopted for the past 3 years, and that's what I think we should stick with, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. I think we will move on now, but yeah. If you look at, I remember this time last year when I was talking myself on this, it was very clear in the statistics that for the size of the town that we are, we actually have a tremendously, we perform very, very well in terms of the value for money ratings, in terms of the level of precept, in terms of hard money that we actually pay in the council tax. So yeah, am keen to move on just because we've had a full debate now and you've already spoken.
I appreciate that, Mr Mayor, but I need to answer Councillor Leon.
Very quickly and then we'll move on.
Well, it'd be very good.
Go on.
Because I absolutely agree with you that we should have said before. However, he hasn't seen the papers before this evening. He hasn't. It's one of those things, he hasn't.
Councillor
And I think-
Rubin hasn't seen the paper.
Do you mind
No,
if I
it's just a clarification.
Simon hasn't seen the papers before this evening.
Still hasn't read.
So I don't think he has. Have you? No, I just want to answer this. Simon, please.
I have seen the papers before this
Oh, you saw the papers before.
My point isn't about the budget, it's about explaining the budget
Which one
to
was
the
it?
Okay,
residents.
well, I just think, Councillor Newmark, that was a bit harsh. And I do, because he agrees the budget. And I think what he said about what we put forward for the residents is absolutely right. It's got to be in place.
Okay.
And I don't agree with how you address that. I'm sorry.
I think procedurally, actually, I will say this. We should, I think Councillor Newmark was right, and I'm saying this to the Mayor, we need to stick to the procedures. We had a debate, therefore points should be raised in a debate, not after the debate, as if we were sitting around chatting in front of the TV.
Okay.
So I would ask the members,
I agree with
please,
you, but we're not sitting in Parliament, we're sitting in the town office, town council, and I have to answer Councillor Newmark.
that's fine. But I'm just asking members to please, if you've got points to make during the debate, make them during the debate, not after the vote. Okay, all right, thank you. We voted, we did vote on it, so, okay. Okay, so we're moving on to point 11. It's great actually to see members of the public starting to flood into the room. For those who are watching on the camera and can't see that. But we're on to point 11 on the community infrastructure levy. First of all, members, to vote, to note.
Sorry, can I just say, we voted on the budget, not the reset.
We voted on both.
Oh, you voted?
To note, so this is 11.1, the community infrastructure levy seal balance, subject to approval of agenda item 7.2. Sorry, that's 11.2, yes. The clerk just pointed out, there should be a change. Yeah. Subject to 11.2 as at January.
I'm so sorry.
Something in the air.
Sorry, I'll move on to
She usually makes me look good, but not seeing. So I'll read that again. It's 11.1. So 11.1, to note the community infrastructure levy seal balance is subject to approval of agenda item 7.1 as at, which we have approved as at 22nd of January 2026. The total in the seal fund is £228,290.05, of which the total unallocated balance is £106,078.05. So that's just a note. And 7.2, I'm very pleased to be able to receive or to announce that we have in the room today Rabbi Chaim Ock, to receive a short presentation of 10 minutes, if you would, from the applicant in relation to the community infrastructure levy application set out below. Members, please note that following the conclusion of the presentation, no questions, discussion or representations shall be directed to the applicant. As I said, during the presentation, you can ask questions or points of clarification, but not once he's finished. So not once we've gone to 11.3.
Is it okay if I hand some of these out?
Yeah.
Can I just ask the staff who are kindly helping to film this evening, is it possible to, did you intend to speak from the lectern, or is it possible to get him on camera?
Got him on camera.
Thank you.
Is it okay to share? Thank you. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. I must admit, we cannot accuse these meetings of being boring. That's for certain. It's not quite the Knesset, if you've ever been, but it is very enjoyable to be here and to watch the back and forth. So thank you for that. I want to just begin. Is there, by the way, a timer somewhere? Just look at the clock. Okay. It's not as fancy as upstairs.
I'll let you know when you've got 2 minutes left.
Pardon?
I'll let you know when you've got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay.
Which is almost 12. Sorry, carry on.
So I get more. Can I get time back on the clock? Okay. So first of all, I just want to say a massive appreciation. Thank you again for having me here and inviting me to speak, share a few words, and just a massive appreciation to the existing partnership that this council as a body and individually, every single one of you has with the Chai Center, the Jewish Life Center, and with myself. I look around the room here and I see faces of friends and colleagues and people who every single one of you, have had to do with in the past, and deeply appreciate the relationships and the friendship and the support, whether it's Hanukkah, which the council has been supporting for many years already, in increasing fashion, or whether it's something as simple as loaning us your barriers, also for Hanukkah. But Dan has been a tremendous help over the years as well, everyone, literally. So I appreciate the friendship and the support, and I look forward to, please God, together working as a unit for the good of the Elstree and Bournemouth community for many years into the future. So what I've given you is a brochure that we put together. It's constantly getting updated, but this is an overall brochure of the project. As most of you know, I think all of you know already, the project is the new Jewish Life Center in Elstree and Bournemouth. And for Elstree and Bournemouth, it will also serve the surrounding areas, as it already actually does. Most of you are familiar with our work to some extent or another, but we, with the new building, expect to grow exponentially. We've already grown out of our existing space a long time ago, and there's deep need for increased utility space. So the overall project is basically, it's a community center, which is there for everyone. One of the first things I remember years ago, I don't know who it was, I think it was one of the counselors at the time, maybe it was one of you, I don't remember, who said to me, Jewish community center, that sounds awfully specific. And of course, whilst we have a large Jewish community, massive Jewish community locally in this area, they say it's one of the largest Jewish community by numbers in Europe, I think. It is really, truly something special. But the comment that was made at the time is that how do you serve the broader community? Do you serve the broader communities, or is your center only for Jewish people? And I'm very grateful that point was brought up to me such a long time ago, because it was really always in our vision. On the one hand, of course, what we're focused on is building a Jewish community center, which is a community center for Jewish people to be able to come and connect with each other and their Jewishness and their Judaism and their culture in a safe and meaningful way. But together with that, it has always been important to us to include the non-Jewish community in that, and to afford opportunities for the non-Jewish community to connect with the Jewish community, something which is fundamental in a mixed area like ours is, with so many large different groups, to be able to, in an informal capacity, come together for events and programs, classes, and parties, really, just to be together, to exist together, and to celebrate together. And most of you, I believe, have been to the menorah lighting on Hanukkah, which is a perfect example of that, where we don't formally call it, multi-denominational or cross-denominational event, but that's literally what it is. It is an informal opportunity for people who would otherwise not come together to come together in a meaningful and loving way. And we believe that this is the most amazing, incredible way to bridge gaps and to build partnerships between communities. So the specific event, the specific project that we have applied for on the SIL grant is the kitchen. And the kitchen, this kitchen in particular, we don't really have a need, I would say, for a fully commercial kitchen just for the use of the space itself. The space itself, as it is, will be a lounge. The ground floor will be a lounge and a bakery of very high quality coffee and baked goods, please God. But mainly it will be a lounge for people to be able to come and spend and be there and exist and spend time and get to meet together in a safe and happy environment. However, the idea of the commercial kitchen came with the concern that I've had and many of my partners have had over the years with the fact that we have so many amazing charities locally in this area, and they do amazing work, incredible work, and they need to continue doing their work. There is one challenge which I've actually experienced as a child from when I was young. I grew up in a family which was not by any stretch of the imagination wealthy. We were, I don't want to say underprivileged, but technically underprivileged, I suppose. And my parents needed help from other people, from the community. They needed support, financial support. And I was always disturbed by the prospect of needing to be public in any way with that request for help. And sometimes it was public, sometimes it was not. But I feel that as much as possible, we need to be able to give people the support that they need, the financial support that they need, in a private way. And so that's where this idea of having a commercial kitchen in this new center came about, where we thought that we could make this kitchen and create a system where we are able to, the idea we have is to have eventually to have nightly takeaway food sold online from the kitchen, so that people in the community will be able to buy high quality takeaway food from the kitchen. But the idea with that is that the people who are unable to afford hot food for their children on a daily basis will be pre-approved and go through a very confidential process in order to be able to get a code which they will be able to order online, the food that they need for their families every single night of the week, and be able to come and pick it up together with other people. And yes, sure.
Quickly, and will that be kosher food as well for the Jewish community? Because I know you're talking about the wider community, but because I know how expensive kosher food is, it will come from that as well.
It will be. The food will all need to be 100% kosher, but it will be accessible to everyone who is in need in the community. And we hope to that end, not only to be able to get this SIL grant to build the kitchen in the first place, but hopefully to have an ongoing relationship with the town in being able to support those families for the long term in a way that is not shameful and that removes any of the embarrassment that often comes along with this type of a system. So that is, in short, the project that we are presenting, and I am happy to take any questions. If I may, yeah, go ahead.
So I think that obviously, as you know, I'm a fixed sponsor of the High Centre. What percentage of the meals do you expect to be used for charity purposes as opposed to commercial purposes? I mean, do you have an idea of how many commercial meals you need to sell in order to fund the meals that you're giving away? Or have you set a percentage of the meals you prepare to be for charity purposes?
So that's a great question. It's difficult to answer specifically on that, but if you typically, like a profit margin for this type of a thing, my understanding is would work on like a 30% profit margin or something like that. So if you're talking about 2 sold meals per, what am I talking about? 3 sold meals per, approximately, per donated meal, would probably be the numbers we would need, but we would also look to be fundraising for the project as well. So it wouldn't need to come completely from the sales. However, we believe there will be great sales because it's going to be phenomenal food. That's one of the underpinning fundamentals of this project is providing high quality of everything: food, programs, events, and so on.
There's just before we go on, just to be clear, at the moment anyone can ask questions to Rabbi now, whatever you want to ask him. Once we get into the next number, which is point 3, that's where we'll debate whether we want to support this and how much we want to support it by. So this is your opportunity to ask questions now.
Can I just add one more thing before any questions? Is that just following up on your point? Is that we one of the proudest moments for me, a very proud moment for me was when a donor once stood up and spoke publicly about their donations to our organization, and he was speaking to a room of people who are involved in investments and investment funds, banking, and all of that. And when he turned to all of his friends and he said, "Listen, we all know when it comes to business, we're always looking to get the best bang for our buck. But the best bang for our buck, we want to spend the least and profit the most. And with this organization, that's exactly what you're doing." So I think that was quite a proud moment, not self-promotional a little bit, but we've done really well with being able to get very good bang for the buck.
So Councillor Kaza and then Councillor Kaza.
It's a good idea. Just want to get my head clear about this. You are having a kind of, say, Jewish food bank, but it is subsidized. Okay? So it's open to the wider community. But the food is kosher food for all. Am I right on all the points?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So Councillor Parnell and then Councillor Nizam.
Okay. Rabbi, first of all, I think it's a great idea. For years and years and years, I've been trying to get Jewish people to mix with the rest of the community in this town. For years and years and years I've tried it. And I'm not clever enough, obviously. Really, I really mean it. So if this type of thing can happen, I would be delighted, really delighted, because that's the main thing I believe in this day and age is for everybody to meet up and get to know each other. It completely stops this. Okay, I believe it completely stops anything untoward feeling. Once they get to know each other, people, they're friends. And this is a way forward for me. Thank you.
Councillor Alexander and then Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And echo Councillor Parnell's comments, and thank you for all the work you're doing here in Bournemouth and spreading the light beyond, in fact, as well. Just as part of due diligence, really, because one of the things I think we look at when we are spending still money, we look to see if any existing provision of this nature is already being done in the community. So my question therefore relates to what they're doing in the Bournemouth Nursery Synagogue up the road at Croxdale, where they already have a kitchen there. Is there any overlap between the work that you're doing or will do and the provision of meals to the needy that are provided out of there, albeit on a somewhat smaller scale probably? We want to make sure we're utilising any infrastructure that is already there before we expand outwards.
Yes, there is overlap, and we would be working together. Actually, one of our general donors, consistent donors, is very involved in that program, which comes out of the Hardship Fund, basically. And the idea would be to work together with them, certainly with the process of confirming people who are approved, basically, for it. But definitely, absolutely, there's another small organization as well, which is doing on the very, very quiet is giving food to families, but it would definitely enable all of that to expand, and we already do work together in many different areas. We'll work together in that way as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to ask, will you be working with the existing food banks? I understand that the food's going to be kosher, but obviously vegetables and things can be, because there's always a glut of something, you know, and we always struggle to wonder where to put it. I'm involved with WD6 Food Support, so I wonder if you worked in conjunction with the others, and also how does it work when a family needs the food? Do they have to be referred like they are with the Trussell Trust, or can they just pitch up like they do at WD6 Food Support and no documentation needed? How does that work?
That's a great question. So first of all, we have already been in touch about a year ago with Gratitude, and Gratitude have offered very kindly to support us with our existing chicken soup that we do on Fridays. We give out chicken soup to people who are in any form of need, and they offer to provide vegetables for us in significant quantity. At the time, we did not require it because of the numbers, but I think at this point, and certainly moving into this new project in the kitchen, we will certainly be looking to work together with them and other charities as well. To respond to your second point, there will need to be some sort of a process that they need to be approved in order to ensure that we're getting food to the people who need it, and it's not being taken advantage of, but all of that will of course be done extremely confidentially.
Jewish Community Kitchen serving chicken soup. That's brilliant. Councillor Turner.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I have knowledge of your organisation. All around the world you can go, almost anywhere, and there is a kebab office, a restaurant or food. It serves to bring communities together. Now, all that's going on in the world, I don't have to spell it out to you. That has to be a number one issue. It's incredible. You're also bringing food and warmth to people that desperately need it. Difficult times. I just say power to your elbow. Good luck.
Thank you very much. If I may just, if there are no other questions.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a brilliant project, and especially I really value the idea of the kitchen helping the people in need, considering we have one of the most deprived areas in the whole of Hertfordshire. So I think a lot of families and residents would really value that. And the sensory room as well, I've seen just in the brochure here. I think it's a great example of having an inclusive environment. Would that be open to the wider community as well, the sensory room?
Yeah, so the sensory room actually will be there to support the Friendship Circle. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Friendship Circle, which is a program we've started approximately a year and a half ago. It's actually grown rapidly, and it's an organization where teens are matched up with children who have additional needs, and send children, and they are put together as in pairing. We have two teens will be paired up as buddies with a child, and they will go visit that child on a weekly basis in their home. Obviously, there is a whole safeguarding process that needs to take place before that, and then we also come together. At the moment, once a month, we're hoping to do more of that, and we do a sensory gathering together. That sensory room is there to support mainly that, and as well as hopefully some sort of creche, nursery facility as well. So, and that Friendship Circle is open absolutely to, as everything we do is open to all communities and all religions or not, it doesn't matter.
Brilliant, thank you.
So if I could just finish on, is that?
So you actually stopped at 8 minutes, so we'll give you 2 minutes just to finish off, and then we will move on.
Okay, so just to finish off, I think it's poignant. I hope I'm not embarrassing him over here, but the fact that one of our substantial supporters, who's actually joined us here today, James, is himself not Jewish, but sees the vision in this project and has really got behind us in a massive way, and hopefully will continue to do so. As you can see, he's here supporting us tonight with some of our other strategy team and supporters, which really appreciate that so very, very much. And I'll just finish off by saying, thank you all for listening to me, and hope I've impressed upon you the importance of this project, and I hope we'll get the vote for the full grant. And I also hope that perhaps we can work together in future parts of the building, and other parts of the building as well, in the coming months.
Many thanks indeed, Brother Hogg. So, as I mentioned, at this point, we are now actually going to debate what's on the table, which is the application from the High Centre, who run the, is it speaking paper or is that one again? From the High Centre for £79,000, so we need to consider this application as it stands. Part A is to support them with the requested amount. What I will do is debate the proposition of supporting with a seal fund seal amount of £79,000. Then we'll vote on that. If that doesn't pass, we'll then go to Part B, where we'll debate an amount over £10,000 but less than the full amount. So at the moment, what we're debating in play is whether to support the High Centre for the seal application that Rabbi Hogg just outlined for the requested amount of £79,000. I saw Councillor Newmark has hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to speak in favour of option A. The Environment Planning Committee have left us in a slightly unusual situation of having two options, as you outlined, in terms of quantum should we decide to approve this seal grant. And in reality, to fail to support this grant at the requested amount would be to fail to act in accordance with this council's principles, values and core priorities, that in the current environment with the cost of living crisis, where people are having to choose whether or not to heat or eat, a solution at the heart of our high street could not be more timely or urgent. And I think to leave a project like this in a situation where we make a smaller, more token contribution and leave whether or not it actually comes to reality and to chance to other fundraising efforts and so on is really not an option for this council in terms of the current scenario. We've seen in this area parts of Boreham Wood, despite massive investment, actually decline in terms of their position on the latest indices of multiple deprivation that were published by the Office of National Statistics at the tail end of 2025. A number of us sitting around this room, Councillor Butler, Councillor Smith, myself, Councillor Chalice, Councillor Alexander, represent those wards. Part of Councillor Rubner's ward also now falls into that category. It's the first time that Boreham Wood Brookmeadow has come into the scope of the indices of multiple deprivation. And to be really clear, what that means is that people's educational, socio-economic opportunities in those areas are in the worst percentile for the east of England and in the worst quarter for the entire country. So that really does underscore the urgency of doing everything that we can to support charitable initiatives and objectives. Now, I also think there is a second imperative for this town council, because we've heard a lot tonight about the impact of local government reform, local government reorganisation, the Evolution programme. And I think that it's imperative right now, in terms of the future ambitions and aspirations of this authority, that we demonstrate we are able to maximise value whilst working in tandem with the upper tier authorities. And I will although my remarks so far have been very much in my capacity as a town councillor, I will speak for a moment in my capacity as leader of the borough council to say that I'm really proud that my cabinet agreed to a funding package around the broader project, building itself, of circa £700,000 in terms of a capital contribution to make this happen. And yet that's clearly something that is beyond the scope of this town council. But I think that the town council coming in behind that and supporting this particular neatly defined commercial kitchen project is a wonderful example of the two tiers of local government working together within the scope of the amount that their civil pots are sort of filled with, and actually delivering a manner in which they act as force multipliers to each other. And finally, Mr. Mayor, I think that I would draw members' attention to our own neighbourhood plan, in which we recognise that the future of Borehamwood High Street, of Shenley Road, in this difficult time for the retail industry, is one in which we move increasingly towards mixed-use high street. That's part of the reason that we, the Borough Council, purchased 80 Shenley Road, and enabling it to become a true mixed-use building, surrounded by retail and leisure, with the Real Cinema next door, with faith-based, culturally appropriate provision, the art lounge, place of worship, and a kitchen of this nature that will be both adding to the wonderfully diverse and eclectic commercial restaurant mix on the high street, but also, more importantly and more significantly, helping to tackle the symptoms of the poverty that is increasing around here, is the exact kind of mixed use for the high street our residents had in mind when they responded to consultation on our neighbourhood plan, and it gives us additional strength when we take that document out to referendum later this year. So I urge members to support the full amount of £79,000, not to leave us in a situation where we say we want to see this happen, but we don't demonstrate fortitude to actually put out the money to complete the job.
Thank you, Councillor Newmark. I saw Councillor Butler next, and then I'll take Councillor Rubner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to add. I mean, Jeremy did capture a lot of that, quite rightly so as well. I will point out on the application, because you did take time to fill in this form, I think it would be unfair and unreasonable actually if you just bypass this and actually see the effort you put into your SIL application. It's there, you've done it all, haven't you? Expanded our community home, massive tip, isn't it? Inclusive for all, again, massive tip. Light, space, open and opportunity, safe place for all, massive tip. Dignity and community cohesion. You tick loads of the bullet points that we need to see within a SIL application, and it will, as SIL rightly sounds, it's there to support a growing community. This is a growing community. So again, a massive tick. I heard what Councillor Alexander said about obviously Croxdale Road, and I hear what you said as well about working together. I think that's great. I think one thing is a big benefit as well is this is on the high street. It's right front and centre in the community. People can't walk past it without seeing it. As where, let's be honest, Croxdale Road is off the beaten track. I used to live in Abbotsford Road, so I know Croxdale Road has got very, very well as well as I've been inside it. But you wouldn't know it was there for a lot of people who live in Borehamwood unless you walk down those streets. But this, you will know it's there. At the moment, you're uncensored. At the moment, again, unless you went up those stairs, you wouldn't really know it was there. You might have a sign outside, but let's be honest, a lot of people just walk past it. Again, this will be clear, front and centre. So again, it's a massive tick. And I heard what Councillor Parnell said earlier, and she's absolutely right. Bringing people together is more important than anything, especially in times what we're facing at the moment where we see division everywhere, and it's horrible to think about. You know, my father used to always say, no matter what, we might have different political beliefs and we've got different paths to get to the same goal. That's all we've got to remember. We've got the same goal to get to, we've just got different ways to get in there. But tonight, I think, from hearing the comments of people around us, I think we're all on the same path on this one. And you have my full support behind this application. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Councillor Rubner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's not always I agree with Councillor Newmark, but in this instance, I'd like to urge members to vote for option A. Councillor Newmark was 100% right in what he said. One of the benefits of the kitchen is that it's a kosher kitchen. What a kosher kitchen means that anyone, Jews, Muslims, people of no faith, Christians, Hindus, can all eat in this kitchen, whereas in other kitchens, Jews and Muslims will find it difficult to eat because the food is not compatible. So that is one very, very important reason to support this kitchen. The other thing is that there is poverty within the Jewish community, contrary to what many people believe, which is why the United Synagogue does have a kitchen. That is a kosher kitchen, mainly for members of the synagogue. So members of the Jewish community that are unaffiliated might not necessarily have access to it. We have a Muslim community in this town, and there is poverty within the local Muslim community. They will have access to the kosher kitchen where they can eat all the food there. The other thing is, I'm speaking today, the day after Holocaust Memorial Day, and most of you know, for me, it's a really important day. I'm the son of a Holocaust survivor, a second generation Holocaust survivor, and I'm very sensitive to anti-Semitism. Now, in Judaism, we have a concept called Kiddush Hashem, which translates into sanctifying God's name. And one of the best ways for Jews to combat anti-Semitism is to sanctify God's name. That means doing good in the general community. Because hatred of other faiths, peoples, nationalities is generally through ignorance. And that's one of the main reasons for anti-Semitism. And I feel that by having a kosher kitchen that is going to help people from all communities and people of all faiths and of none will go a long way in combating the oldest hate in the world, which is anti-Semitism. And therefore, once again, I'd like to urge all of us to support option 1.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm just going to say a few words myself in support of the full requested amount. Before 2010, food banks of any nature barely existed in this country. The number of users nationally was counted in thousands. We're now in a situation today in 2025 where in last year alone 2.9 million people in the UK used food bank during that year. We know locally the huge demand and the growing demand actually on the 3 most well-known food banks in the town. You only have to go past Gratitude to see the long queues of people outside sometimes who need food, who are living in food poverty. You only have to visit Parkside School and the wonderful work of WD6 Food Support and Councillor Smith and her colleagues there to know how many people come into those sessions who really rely on the support of that charity and the help that the local community give, and the Bournemouth Food Bank as well. Now, the reason why I am really, really pleased that Rabbi Hock mentioned about this question of kind of supporting the potential future users of it very sensitively is I've had a lot of experience myself of project managing food programs in Eastern Europe, in South America, in South Africa, including for what one could classify as those living in what we call new poverty. That's to say people who were at one point living fairly comfortable lives, but since descended into unemployment, impoverishment, vulnerabilities of all sorts. And I remember when I first came across this phenomenon, although it was many years ago when I was volunteering in Argentina, and these people who I was volunteering to support with World Jewish Relief actually, were telling me some tremendous stories about the sense of shame and the sense of stigma, because they were once the charity givers and then they had to rely on charity or from support from others. And I remember there were many stories that I heard from different kind of clients, if you like. One of which, there was a chap who, he told me in an interview that I was doing, that he was made unemployed. He used to work in a bank, lost his job in the financial crisis out there, and he'd get up every single day. After he'd lost his job, he'd put his suit and tie on, he'd have breakfast, he'd leave for a job that didn't exist. A job that didn't exist because he didn't have the confidence and the bravery to tell his own wife that he'd lost his job, which was a highly paid professional job. And he ended up relying on food support. So I heard many stories like that. And when I eventually became project manager of the charity, we had to devise ways of, very similar to ones that you outlined there. We ended up using a food debit card scheme so that people wouldn't be paying with vouchers or with things that were obviously different. And I went on to, I was so interested in this idea of, when you've had everything and then you lose it all and you become vulnerable, that I ended up doing a PhD on the subject and then also publishing books and papers in world-class journals, but you can read those if you like. So I'm really happy that these kinds of people will be catered for as well, who really need the support but often don't want to come out and ask for it publicly. And this, it ticks so many boxes for me that I'm really happy to support the full amount.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Would anyone, Councillor Collins, then I think we'll go to a vote at that point. Councillor Collins.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I personally, I would like to reach out across the floor for everybody to support this initiative, because I personally have an experience with regards to how people suffer and who are struggling with regards to feeding themselves. My wife and I, as a reminisce, we go back to Sheffield. We founded a food bank, and people had dignity or other things, and some people were embarrassed to come forth, but we eventually found a way and were able to bring people together. And also, my wife, presently we have people who come over to our place twice a week to the church, and we feed them and other things. And people, I mean, there's a lot of the high poverty rate here is massive here in this place. In Sheffield, we have my wife and other professionals. We raise pretty close to £1 million to go about and fix a modern kitchen and make an old church, modernize it. But the main thing was the kitchen, and this cost a lot of money and other things. And so I empathize with the rabbi, and I know what it is, and I will ask everybody to be supportive of this initiative because it's a good one, and in as much as people can come together and irrespective of the creed, the color, the sexuality, and can come over and benefit from this initiative, I'm wholehearted for it because I mean I'm experiencing it, I've seen it, we have done it, and I know I know how you are going about with it. So please, ladies and gentlemen, please, extend your helping hand, empathize with the rabbi, and also everybody. Although it's called the Jewish Center, but it's all about fellow human beings. So let's move about and do the right thing. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Collins. So we're going to go for the vote now in favour of the proposal for you to support the Hire Centre and the programmes just mentioned for the sum of £79,000 of silver. All those in favour? Thank you very much, members. That's carried unanimously. Congratulations, Mazel Tov. And thank you for the amazing work you do.
To get together.
All round doors at 10.
Yeah, that was that's an invitation still to come around, is it? We've only got 40 minutes left, so I am going to leave this on. Thank you. It reminds me of that. Policies, it's 11 on your agenda paper, but I think it should be point 12. Yeah, you kind of did it twice. Yes. So it's point 12, policies. The first one is to adopt the draft procurement policy as required by the Council's financial management plan. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. 12.2, to adopt the draft reserves policy as required by the Council's financial management plan. All those in favour? Agreed. That's unanimous as well. And point 12.3, adopt the draft fraud and corruption policy as required by the Council's management plan. All those in favour? Agreed. Unanimous as well, thank you. Right, members, we're now in item 17, which has become item 13 in the agenda. The motion relating to the UK Town of Culture. As I am the seconder of the motion, I will step aside from the chair and I invite the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Kumar, to take the chair for the duration of this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you are the seconder of the next motion, I will now take the chair for item 17. We now come to item 17. A motion concerning the government's announcement of selecting an annual UK Town of Culture. This motion has been submitted by Councillor Newmark and seconded by Councillor Ozaro. The motion states that Council notes the government has announced a process to select an annual UK Town of Culture, that winner and runner-up towns will receive significant financial and other benefits to support the development of local culture provision, and that Council believes that with our new cultural and creative sector and film and TV infrastructure, Elstree and Borehamwood is a strong contender for this accolade. The process of submitting an initial first stage application would be a positive way to progress our cultural and creative objectives. We will shortly take a vote to resolve the following. Point 1, to request that the Mayor, in consultation with the Town Clerk, undertakes initial engagement with local cultural and creative providers and Hertfordshire Borough Council to explore the feasibility for potential UK Town of Culture bid, and to report back to the Council. Point 2, that any engagement undertaken by the Mayor shall be exploratory and non-binding and shall not involve the making of any financial commitments or representations on behalf of the Council. Point 3, that the Mayor shall provide updates on progress to the General Management Committee, and that any financial or governance implications, including any unbudgeted expenditure, shall be referred to the relevant committee or full council for approval. This motion has been proposed by Councillor Newmark. Councillor Newmark, would you like to speak now or reserve the right to speak later in the debate?
You have to speak now, I suppose, don't I? Yeah. Okay. Look. Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Mayor. To get straight to the point, in essence, this is about grabbing an opportunity. Our excellent Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, about 10 days ago, announced that as part of the government's broader programme of investment in the cultural sector, that she was going to augment the well-known, well-established programme of designating an annual city of culture by designating an annual town of culture to open the opportunities and the economic benefits that such a designation can provide to smaller destinations that aren't necessarily one of the great cities of our nation. And it was clear to me from the outset that Borehamwood and Elstree and Borehamwood has to be in the running. We are in a situation where we are seeing an absolute renaissance of cultural provision. The Town Council adopted 2 years ago now a new cultural creative strategy. The Borough Council adopted a creative strategy across Hertfordshire a couple of years ago as well. Since then, we have seen the granting of planning permission to Sky Studios to expand their site into a second phase of development. We've seen a renaissance of Bell Street Film Studios with the reopening of historic stages 7, 8 and 9, and only in the past 10 days we have seen yet another Elstree production with a number of Golden Globes and Oscar nominations in terms of Hamnet, and we have seen approval of the plans and the commencement of the work for the conversion and expansion of the former BBC Elstree Centre into the new Fairbanks Studios. We as a council saved the Real Cinema at the heart of our track town and added a film and TV heritage exhibit. We have recently, as a borough, approved a £3.3 million funding package for the new immersive experience. I don't think there are many towns our size that can boast that kind of a contribution, not just to the country's cultural sector, but actually to the extent to which our cultural creative studio cluster contributes to the creative pillar of the government's new industrial strategy. There are multiple benefits to being part of this process. I think the winner receives, the winning town receives a grant of somewhere in the region of £3 million, but any town that's shortlisted, I believe, will receive awards from 60,000 through to 600,000. It also is an opportunity for this town council to bring together our key cultural providers in a coalition around an application and get them working together in a coherent way with the town council at the lead. I think the initial stage is relatively friction-free and won't involve any significant or meaningful expenditure by the town council itself. We do have some funds within the CIC that can be used for this purpose, subject to the appropriate approvals. I have already been in touch with the major studios and the directors of the parent company, Real Cinema, all of whom are really confused about this. But to my mind, it would be wrong for any institution other than this town council with the film, TV and screen arts sector such an integral part of our vision, values and mission to lead this. So this motion is about giving the Mayor a mandate on our behalf to start to undertake the work that will be required to get an initial bid in between now and the end of March. So I commend this motion to you.
Thank you, Councillor Mark. It sounds like a brilliant opportunity for the council. This motion has been seconded by Councillor Zara. Councillor, would you like to speak now?
Seconded, reserve the right to speech, please.
Thank you, Councillor Zara. This motion has now been proposed and seconded. Members may now speak on the motion. I know Councillor
Thank you.
Parnell wants to speak.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. I love saying that. I do love it. I love it. Anyway, I can only say what a fantastic idea and thing to happen. You know, when I heard of it, when I heard of all this culture, Boreham Wood, culture in Boreham Wood, well, I now 100% believe in it. I think it's a fantastic idea, fantastic opportunity for us, Boreham Wood, be on the map. Wonderful. I totally agree with it. Totally. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parnell. Councillor Butler.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mr. Deputy Mayor. It's all right, it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
I love
know what
it,
you're saying.
I love it.
Yeah, gets it, doesn't it? Yeah. No, I'm pleased to hear that you're supportive of an initiative by the government. I think that's really good, and I'm welcoming that. So I
That's
look
the
forward.
first for me.
Yeah, well, you know, you never know. You might slip in the box next time you're in the polling booth. But anyway, look, yeah, that's it exactly. So look, I think it's a great win, even if we get shortlisted. It's a win for the town council, and so this has got my full support. I just also want to point out that with time limited, so try and keep speeches to a minimum. Looking at our current mayor. Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Would any other member would like to speak on this motion?
You want to speak?
So if there's no other member that would like to speak on this motion, we will go through this vote. We will now vote on this motion. All those in favour? Councillor Zara,
Well, you know, it's one thing having my group leader trying to shut me up. Trying to shut me up. But anyway, I will keep it fairly brief. First of all, Deputy Mayor, well done for chairing so brilliantly this debate. I also wanted to thank Councillor Newmark for first raising this idea and speaking with me about it the other day. I think it offers us an absolutely fantastic opportunity. And 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now, we sat around this table and we debated and we discussed the culture and creative arts strategy for our town. It was ambitious. You know, we spoke about concepts like Elstree and Broadwood becoming one of the tourism hubs in the United Kingdom on the back of our film and TV heritage and ongoing wonderful industry. And there was, I think, a degree of, I won't say cynicism, but I don't think everyone supported it. All around the chamber, that was great to see. But the prospect of it becoming a reality, we had the vision for it, and people wanted it to happen, but I think there was some questions about whether it can happen. We are well on the way to making it happen. We are well on the way. At the point, what I was saying in proposing that was that we already have this wonderful film, TV, and screen arts legacy and existing industry. But it was about making that, fulfilling the potential, to make this town what it could be. The town of culture, as Councillor Newmark said, came off the back of the City of Culture, which was given, the first one was given to Bradford. And just by way of showing you what an enormous difference it can make, since Bradford won that award, it's increased its growth by £389 million, footfall in the city has increased by 25%. So obviously as a town of culture, we're at a much kind of smaller level than Bradford, we wouldn't be talking about those figures, but certainly we'd be talking about proportionate increase in figures for the town. We already have an ambitious plan here to build on the heritage that we've outlined. We're already doing some amazing things as a town council, in partnership in some of those with the Borough Council. I'm personally very much looking forward to seeing the immersive experience that was discussed, I think it was the last council meeting or the one before that, becoming a reality and really drawing in tourists from not only all over the country but all over the world to Bournemouth to enjoy that. Just last week we had a culture and creative art strategy subcommittee meeting where we discussed taking forward our strategy. The Green Plaque scheme is being rolled out as we speak. I think, and thanks very much to Dan Salty for that, working hard on that, John Cartledge. That is going to really kind of visibly show many of the kind of important sites of interest in our film and TV sector and beyond, to cover all kinds of aspects of arts, culture and so on. People that used to live here, institutions like the Gem Cinema and so on. So it's a really exciting place to be right now. The opportunities here are fantastic. As Councillor Newmark mentioned, the winning prize is £3 million. If you're a runner-up, we would get £250,000. And just for being shortlisted, we get £60,000. And I think we've got a fantastic chance of at least that. One of the figures that's spearheading this is that wonderful socialist, Sir Phil Redmond. So there's an extra reason for us to be on board over here on the website. We need to be ambitious. We are really ambitious. We're an ambitious administration. We're a small town with big dreams, and I really hope that we support this, and we get the bid in, and we win.
Well done. Seriously.
Thank you, Councillor Zara, and apologies for bypassing the brilliant speech of yours. Now, is there anyone else that would like to speak on this motion? Right, we'll now vote on this motion. All those in favour? That's unanimous. This motion has been carried. Thank you, members. That completes item 17. I will now return the chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. So we're now on to item 18 on your pages, item 14, outside bodies. To note that no outside body reports have been submitted. And also to note that a request has been made to General Management Committee for council representation for Bournemouth Radio. This will be added to the outside body schedule of the annual meeting. And point 19, public participation. To receive questions or statements from the public in relation to items on the agenda. A maximum of 3 minutes is allowed per person. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make some kind of contribution or ask a question? So it's questions only. Questions only, I'm told. No? Okay, excellent, thank you very much.
Thank you for supporting.
Thank you. In that case, we move on to the next item, which is close the meeting. To close the meeting. The next meeting is scheduled is the annual parish meeting to be held on Wednesday, the 18th of March 2026 at 7:30 at Fairway Hall. The next ordinary meeting of full council is scheduled for Wednesday, the 25th of March 2026 at 7:30 p.m. at Fairway Hall. Thank you very much, everyone. I wish you a safe journey home tonight. Thank you to the staff as well for helping to set up this meeting, and to the clerk and secretary for taking notes. You can go home now. I'll see you.